Welcome to the Safely Controlled Podcast, a show where we think we know what we're talking about, but we're still deeply confused.
That's right, those mysterious, spooky, and sometimes downright ridiculous anomalies that the SCP Foundation works so hard to keep under control.
How do they control them? Why do they control them? Honestly, we're still figuring that out. But hey, we got dice, and that's all we need to choose which SCP we're probably going to mispronounce today.
From homicidal rubber ducks to existentially horrifying vending machines, we're here to explain them to you. Mostly.
So buckle up and suspend your disbelief, and prepare to be entertained by two people pretending they know what's going on. Yes, that is right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Safely Controlled Podcast. My name is Matt, and I am here alone today. Normally, I would have Rob next to my side. Rob is a bit of a family emergency this week. I wish him the best of luck, and we'll see him next week for sure. But today, I'm doing something. I'm going to do an episode alone. It is the first time that I've actually, any episode on this podcast, I've at least had one other person with me, whether it was Rob or my wife Anna. But I figured today, I'm going to take it a little bit slow. And, just read one by myself and see how this is going to work out. Because, I'm going to find times like this where, shit happens and people aren't able to record. I don't mind doing this by myself because I've been doing Rogue Report by myself. If you're not familiar, Rogue Report is just another podcast that I do on this channel. And something that I also realized that once you upload a podcast, like when you upload a playlist and label it as a podcast on YouTube, it is now available on YouTube Music. So my podcasts, Rogue Report and the Safely Controlled Podcast, are both available on YouTube Music if that's what you choose to use. As far as the podcast and getting, it on other platforms, like other audio platforms, other podcast platforms, that is a long ways down the road. I do appreciate, because what I was looking at too, this episode, if my math is correct, I said it last episode thinking that the last episode was the 20th episode. This would be my 20th episode of the Safely Controlled Podcast, and I do want to thank anybody that has been paying attention and listening to these and, stopping by the channel and giving this a listen or a like or comment or whatever. I do really appreciate anybody that has been following us as long as we've been doing this. We started this podcast at the beginning of December of last year. Well, actually, probably even before that, because I was, stockpiling a couple of episodes and trying to figure out when it was going to release and how and the format. This show, in all honesty, is not what I thought it was going to be at the beginning. But I do not mind it evolving in what it has become. So as far as, what the show is now, I'm super happy that me and Rob have this platform that we are able to speak on. And the fact that we're able to get together, once a week. Even though I do see Rob outside of this podcast, of course, we're friends and we live close by and close enough that we can, see each other whenever. But we both have said before, like, how we find this a little bit therapeutic, that we are able to sit down, talk, converse, read a story, and give our opinions, or try to decipher what the hell some of these files are saying, because we have said it before, these SCPs are quite the read. They put a lot of big words in here, especially for your boy. I am not the smartest person in the world, but at the same time, I do love, doing this weekly and reading these stories. Or my thought for this podcast happened, over probably about a year ago, or maybe over a year ago. And the fact that, like, I'm 20 episodes in now is actually really awesome. It's putting my mind to a goal and setting a goal for myself to do something, and that's all this is just trying to keep myself a little bit sane and making sure that everybody is entertained. Like, that's my main thing here, is like, I want people to find a similarity, that, like, the same shit that we do when it comes to, how do I want to explain this? Because I feel like I just rambled out a bunch of words that didn't make any sense, just trying to put shit together. I want people to come to this podcast and know that, you might not necessarily learn anything about SCPs from, just because we're reading one of them. And even if you listen to the other episodes, you can listen to all 20 episodes of this podcast and still don't know what the fucking SCP is. That's perfectly fine, because we're still, we're learning every day. We're learning new things every day. Like, we figured out D-class just means you're a douchebag and you're, a little bit expendable. So, if you see D-class, that means you're not going to you're not going to be safe. More than likely, you're not going to make it out of whatever experiment you're a part of. I like going back and, also, seeing what we have done and where we are now as this show continues to evolve. If you think that you have somebody in your life that would really appreciate this show, please show them. Normally at this point in time of the show is when me and Rob would do our coffee talk. I have the coffee talk, but it's also the coffee talk that I would try to have at least with one other person. Going through some of my notes here, I will talk about this real quick, and then we'll get on to the show. For the past week or so now, I think, has been the beginning of the release in theaters of the Minecraft movie. And I would like to say, real quick, go ahead and rant about how some, people, younger ages, are assholes. I mean, I understand that I was also an asshole at a younger age. I don't understand. I guess I really just do not understand the new generations, why they do what they do. And I'm not saying that they're not having fun. I understand why they're doing it, but it's just so, it's immature, but it's also like when you look at a teenager or something like that, you would assume that they are immature. But when you're being as inconsiderate as destroying movie theaters left and right is just, it's so cringy for me. I was seeing clips of this, what is it? Chicken Jackie. I don't know if I do a really good Jack Black or not. There's a scene that these kids are losing their fucking minds in this movie. And the fact that people, I could just imagine trying to be an innocent bystander, even with a child, like a very, very younger child that wanted to go see this movie. And you're in a theater full of like late middle schoolers or high schoolers that are trying to go and, have, a meme fight or whatever the hell, whatever this thing is. The fact is, maybe I don't understand it because I'm not in the loop and I don't necessarily pay attention to social media because it drives me nuts. Popcorn being thrown left and right. It looks like toilet paper is being thrown. Basically having a mosh pit at a Minecraft movie showing in a movie theater. And they are destroying the theater. I don't know necessarily want to say they're destroying the property, but I'm sure that they have. There's kids that are, it does get a chuckle out of me, but at the same time, you can only go so far into a joke like that to where it's not going to be cringe as fuck. I've seen the videos of these kids basically mosh pitting, they just fucking take their shirts off, they're waving them around, all because of this line, because that's what they're told to do, basically. The internet said, hey, when this happens in the movie, lose your mind. Just lose your fucking mind and start throwing anything that's in your hands. It doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, I don't want to keep ranting on about shit that pisses me off. I want to go ahead and get into the SCP for this today's episode. And like I said, I'm doing this by myself. I'm going to roll... I'm going to roll 3 dice today. 366. We were so close to SCP 666, but we're going to go 366. SCP 366 is labeled Carriage Grubs. We're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So the roll of today was SCP 366, object class Euclid, Special containment procedures. All SCP-366 specimens, regardless of stage, are to be stored in a Level 4 biological hazard freezing unit at Biological Research Site 66. Cryopreservation is to be achieved through freezing in liquid nitrogen at a constant temperature of -196 °C to prevent activation. Due to the diminutive nature of SCP-366 ova, these specimens are to be stored in a near vacuum Class 3 biosafety cabinet to avoid accidental dispersion, in addition to cryopreservation as outlined above. All specimens and infest hosts are only to be handled by authorized personnel wearing Level A hazmat suits with SCBA, and all personnel involved handling 366 are to be scanned by MRI for possible infestation before entering and after exiting containment facilities. Before I jump ahead, I'm going to try to come to the conclusion that this is a phenomenon. Like, sometimes especially when it's Euclid, that's what I'm getting off of this immediately, is that this is not like an object, this isn't a person, this isn't a sentient being. I think this might be a phenomenon. Anyway, if an infestation is detected, specific procedures are to be followed depending on the sex of the host, which right there, like I'm saying, like this has to be something of a phenomena, or like we have something parasitic, obviously, when we have a host, I'm assuming. Males are to be detained and subjected to a dual inguinal orchiectomy. I'm going to skip that sentence. All medical offal is to be disposed in according to a protocol. A secondary scan for infestation is to be performed after recovery and quarantine to verify the success of the procedure and to rule out residual infestation. Females found to have suffered infestation are to be likewise detained and placed in quarantine under medical observation for 24 hours per day until such time as a 366 event occurs, which we haven't necessarily figured out what the event is yet. Should signs of an imminent 366 event to be detected, the host is to be sedated using benzodiazepines. The dosage is to be determined by the resident head of medical staff. The host quarantine cell is then to be evacuated of all personnel. Due to the dangers of hearing loss, immediate containment of 366 specimens existing in host body is essential. Post events, both the host and any affected personnel are to be screened for infestation and treated accordingly. If no such infestation is to be detected and the host survives, Class A anesthetics may be administered and the host need no longer to be detained. No special social reintegration procedures apply, which to me is, this has to be something of a phenomenon that maybe it's not necessarily just something that happens that makes people get infected with something. Something is infecting them, and it might be because of, like, sometimes the SCP is an area, sometimes it is just a phenomenon that happens in a certain area or whatever. Normally at this point, like, you would think that we were dealing with one thing in particular, but obviously, like, if there's an event happening, which it's labeled, the event is ABE-366 event. So whatever the event is what's, part of the special containment procedures. Is when the event happens, then that's when they're putting all this protocol into place, trying to get something out of if there's an infestation or something. Yeah, that's what's already confusing, is the fact that there's an infestation of something that we don't know what's happening. As locations where 366 OVA are deposited shift is sealed off permanently. As locations where SCP-366 OVA are deposited shift is sealed off permanently. Containment of these areas focuses on detection, quarantine of host, and containment of specimen. If celestial events known to trigger the appearance of 366 OVA can be foreseen, sites are to be closed down temporarily. If need be, OVA may be harvested for research. In all other situations, OVA are to be allowed to expire before sites are declared open again. If infestation is detected outside of the Foundation's control, hosts are to be detained and subjected to stipulations above. The procedures outlined above are then to be applied to locations linked to these cases. So if it's out of their control that they are doing this now, basically the procedures outlined above are then to be applied to locations linked to these cases. That means that, like, you know, if this is happening outside of the site, then part of the foundation, their main goal is to keep mass hysteria happening in the open public, or the general public rather. If whatever this is it's pouring out into the public, then they have to go and find that. Critical infestations occurring outside of the Foundation's control warrant a full quarantine of all individuals in contact with the deceased. If necessary, temporary research and entertainment sites are to be established around large-scale hot zones. That sounds like The Crazies. I remember, like, the movie The Crazies with Timothy Olyphant and I don't remember anybody else, but when their infection like first started, they had the whole like high school lockdown, people through this screen, through that screen. His wife got separated from him. I do remember that. Finally, to the description of what the hell we have been talking about. The description of 366 refers to a human endoparasite of unknown, possibly extraterrestrial origin, that starts its life cycle in a ovum stage? O-V-U-M stage? I don't know. In male hosts, ova can develop into a larval stage. In female hosts, larval stage specimens may transition into adult stage. Larvae introduced to the male hosts and ova introduced to female hosts live at most 3 hours before expiring due to the lack of hormones necessary for further development. Attempts to cultivate infestations in other organisms have not yielded any results, with 366 specimens of any stage expiring as expected when outside a human host. So the larva, which we don't know where it came from, it could be extraterrestrial. Now, I know I do this a lot, but I'm always looking to compare this with something that I've either seen or heard about before. So I'm going to usually jump and, point a finger at a certain movie or TV show or something. Larva, possibly extraterrestrial, that is a endoparasite. This reads a lot like the movie The Faculty, old 90. Josh Hartnett, Elijah Wood. In all honesty, to me, it's a banger of a movie. It's one of the best shitty movies that they've made of all time. But that's literally the main plot of the movie, is that this parasitic alien came out of fucking nowhere, landed on the ground. They had it in the school because I think it was Elijah Wood's character that found it, and then it just became this massive infestation, and then they had to kill the mother of the parasites, the main host, if you will. Now, the only difference between, that movie, obviously, and this is that in the male hosts, the specimen can develop into a larger, into a larval stage, and then in female hosts, the larval stage specimens transition into the adult stage. And larva introduced to male host and ova. I read. Okay. I'm an idiot. Now, I don't know what the fuck this means, but it just says ova. OVA. In male host, ova can develop into larval stage, and then the larval stage develops into the adult stage inside of a female. The other way around, ova introduced to female hosts live at most 3 hours before expiring due to the lack of hormones. You need the male testosterone, I feel like, is what is driving them to develop into the next stage, the larval stage. Ova measured approximately 1 micrometer in diameter and have never been recovered unfertilized. When encountered outside of a host, ova are dormant with the embryo in developmental stasis. Larvae measured between 0.1 and 0.2 millimeters and display physical characteristics of the larva of something fucking Latin. Despite this resemblance, research has indicated no DNA matches with that species nor any of its family. Adult specimens of 366 resemble the larva of another Latin word, though they are not significantly larger. Again, these resemblances are superficial only. I mean, yeah, like it's the same thing as me comparing your story to a movie. You're going to compare your research or whatever the fuck you're looking at to something that's already on the planet. Makes sense, player. Upon introduction of 366 ova to a male host via inhalation or indigestion, specimens travel through the body to settle in the testes. It literally says in the testes, which, I'm sorry, in the testicles, right? All right. An ovum stage specimen monitors its host testosterone levels between 27 and 32 days. I'm nailing this shit. I'm so ahead of time right now. After that period of time, any significant increase in testosterone over the usual levels will trigger a transition to larval stage. 366 larvae lie dormant in the testes, waiting for it to be transmitted to a female host. Oh, god damn! Okay, symptoms that male hosts may display at the time include muscle pains, fevers, and small amount of blood in the host's urine. Larvae developed in male hosts are transmitted to female hosts through ejaculation. If ejaculation does not occur, larval stage specimens will remain in the host system indefinitely, waiting to be transferred to a female host. Lifespan has not yet been established for these larvae. So the larva is going to stay in your sac as long as it can stay in your sac until it is, transferred to the female host. Now, obviously, we're talking about sex. We're talking about that this is almost a sexually transmitted endoparasite. Now, stupid question, because, I have to ask it now. You fucking brought it up. Could you, more than likely, you can ejaculate without sex. So let's just say you have somebody with the ova inside of them feeding off said testosterone, the larva is growing, and you just rub one out real quick. What happens then? Like, is it gonna, how would it know that it's not being transferred? You know what I'm saying? Because you could literally just, jerk off into a fucking cup, and it's not gonna know, like, how would it know that it's not going to a female? I guess that is what, more than likely, in the fuck, hold on. Oh, my brain went somewhere else. Because that means that Biological Research Site 66, that means they are trying not to have an orgy, but they might actually have to. Or there's, because the research that these people have to do, they're like, well, it's, we noticed that you have a little bit of blood in your piss, and you're feeling a little shitty. Why don't you try this? And then they just hand you a cup, and in a Hustler magazine or whatever the fuck. That's way outdated. Why the fuck would they hand you a Hustler magazine? They can just hand you an iPad and be like, here's the internet. Have fun. Oh, God. I literally, for whatever reason, just pictured a bunch of researchers standing around one guy as he jerked off into a cup and be like, where's the larva? Holy shit. So I gotta keep moving on here. 366 infestation in female hosts occur after unprotected copulation. Yeah. You really had to call it that. That's fine. I see. That's the part about these fucking files that you just have to throw in stupid words. Infestation in female hosts occur after unprotected sex with infested males. Larvae transmitted in this manner attach to the lining of the uterus and feed on the host's output of estrogen to grow their adult form. It doesn't say estrogen, it's going to now. An infestation with adult specimens produce symptoms resembling pregnancy, which may include nausea, swelling of the abdominal area, light blood loss, and stool or vaginal fluids, abdominal cramps. Now I'm thinking this one, oh, holy fuck, I didn't think that I was actually going to have a read like this morning, because now it has me thinking of who the movie horror, oh, The Fly. Holy shit, yeah, The Fly, like the John, no, not John, his name is, fuck, good god damn it. Jeff Goldblum. His name's not John, it's Jeff Goldblum. The fly with Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis back in the day, she gave birth to what looked like an 8-pound maggot. And that's what I got out of that. Because if you're the infestation in the adult specimen is growing inside of you, resembling pregnancy, that's disgusting. I fucking hate bugs. I hate. I could just imagine if this happened to me. I'm gone. We'll be right back. During this gestation period of SCP-366, specimens present in the uterus will display behavior, with the larger and stronger specimens killing and assimilating weaker ones. This process continues until only one specimen survives. After 3 to 6 weeks, the remaining adult specimen leaves the host in a event. Oh, that's the event, is when, okay. Whenever the larva leaves the host, that is the ABE-366 event. Specimens birthed in this manner will take flight through unknown means and attempt to gain access to the open sky. What the fuck? Oh, god damn it, I hate that. Oh, now I'm thinking of other shit. What am I thinking of now? The butterfly things that come out of people and they fly away. And he's... John Cena. Boop, boop, boop. The Peacemaker. That show. Go watch Peacemaker. If successful... specimens will ascend towards the redacted system of an average rate of 114 kilometers per hour. Oh, I'm so hot and bothered by this. Research using tracking devices attached to birth specimens has yielded little results, with signals lost to the vicinity of redacted. Specimens prevented from reaching the open sky will produce a sustained high-pitched sound of approximately 101 decibels. An infestation is designated critical if abnormally elevated levels of estrogen in males cause larva... Wait, in males? An infestation is An infestation is designated critical if abnormal elevated levels of 17 what looks like a B-estradiol, what honestly it just seems like estrogen, but it says in males cause larval stages specimens to develop into adult stage prematurely. Oh god, these stages are invariably fatal to the host, as large numbers of immature adult stage specimens leave the host's body in an abrupt mass exodus. There is only one recorded critical infestation amongst infested males in Foundation custody. What the fuck did you just say to me? Immature adult stage specimens leave the host body in an abrupt mass exodus. Not that men can't have estrogen in their body. Fuck, you can go take estrogen. It's like an over-the-counter thing, supplement that you can put in your body. An infestation of a male with elevated levels of estrogen, that's why they develop into adults prematurely. And then even when the number of immature adult stage specimens leave the body, it's not supposed to happen that way. So if you are a male infected by said parasite and you have elevated levels of estrogen in your body, you're gonna die. You are going to die. Even though there's only one, they have one critical infestation amongst infected males in Foundation custody, that doesn't tell you how many times that this has happened to some random dude anyway, out of their containment. They said earlier on about, having trouble containing it in just one area, obviously. SCP, this is the end of this, so we're wrapping up here. Holy shit. SCP-366 ovum stage specimens can be found exclusively in the state of Massachusetts, thank God, always at exposed locations known locally for adolescent sexual activity. So, like schools, more than likely. Certain celestial events, such as meteor showers, may trigger the descent of 366 ova. Okay, the amount of ova deposited during these events ranges from approximately 1 to 10 depending on the level of activity at the location. The exact origin of ova remains untraceable at this point. This is an addendum from host 366- somebody who's already dead. It was so beautiful, man. Just me, Lorraine, the night sky, and all of those falling stars. And then you got infected. So the falling stars were the larva, well, not technically the larva, it would have been the ova coming down, infecting him. And he must have had, the elevated levels of estrogen in his body, because he would be alive if he wasn't. So, wow, okay. I feel bad that Rob missed this one, because this was a hell of a fucking roll. I was so lost in the beginning of this, I'm not gonna lie, until once you get into the description, obviously, I should read the description and then the protocols, or the procedures rather. So basically what they're trying to do is, I feel like what the main goal for the Foundation here is to make sure that if they're going to medically, professionally, and medically try to take care of these subjects. Now, I have a feeling that they're not doing this on purpose, because I feel like, the chances of, infecting somebody for medical research purposes, if you're purposely going to infect somebody, you have to make sure, especially if it's the male, then you have to make sure that their estrogen levels are very, very, very low. Because if they're not, then that ova is going to grow inside of them prematurely and going to kill them. Females found to have suffered infestations are likewise detained and placed in quarantine under medical observation 24 hours per day until such time as the event occurs, which the event is just the birth. When they are being birthed, that's when the host is sedated using benzodiazepines and medical staff. The quarantine cells to be evacuated of all personnel due to the dangers of hearing loss. So that means when it leaves the body, it's making a really, really like ear curling sound to it's gonna drive you insane, I'm guessing. Not necessarily drive you insane, but it's gonna damage your eardrums. Post-event, both the host and any affected personnel are to be screened for continuing infestation and treated accordingly. If no such infestation is detected amongst class A anesthetics being administered, no needler to be detained, no special. Oh. So maybe it doesn't even happen when they think it's going to happen. So like a male and female, they can have sex, and then this is not going to be, it doesn't have to be transmitted. It's just the possibility. If you were with this guy, he's the one that was infected. We know that for sure that he was infected. Now we're going to have to take a check at you, which totally makes sense. This was a random roll, and I'm so happy that I kind of rolled this one, because holy shit, man. I haven't had a read like this in a minute. I feel like, like me and Rob reviewed the vending machine that had a bunch of random shit popping out of it, and I thought that was really cool. But I had rolled that one, before, like when I was thinking about this show and like wanting to create this podcast and stuff like that. That was one of the test ones that I did. I remember rolling the vending machine by myself and going, wow, man, this is actually a really good read. I would love to sit there and discuss this with somebody. This would be one of those ones where I really wish Rob was here so I can discuss this with him. But obviously I can fill him in, or he can just listen to it himself. But this was absolutely nuts, because the basic gist of this is this parasitic thing from space, basically. We don't know what it is. They've studied it enough to, try to figure out what the hell it is. But the first thing that happens is that it's in space, and then it's coming down through like meteor showers and shooting stars events and shit like that. And that's what's triggering the descent of the ova. And then once the ova is down near Earth, but for whatever reason, it has to have the its only way of survival is to latch onto a male host, putting itself in a specific area where it does say, though, specimens can be found exclusively in the state of Massachusetts, which, I mean, that's what they said. I'm not certain if it's not happening anywhere else, but it's also looking for, and also in the words of the file here, adolescent sexual activity, which to me, adolescence is maybe, late middle school, or even, just high school, maybe even like a college. So it's looking for this high sexual activity area so it can spread around, and not just, one thing landed in one area, so it can just have, one transferred, from the male to the female and then out of the female and then flies away or whatever. I'm just imagining the entire thing being rained down upon by the ova, and, at least like 50 to 60% of that population, the male population, is now infected. Why would you purposely... Are they purposely making that happen? That's the part that honestly I think I'm a little bit confused on, is the fact that like there is a way to stop this, and I feel like the way to stop it is just to does the infection leave if he is jerking off into a cup? This is a serious conversation that I'm trying to have, but by myself, I guess. Very, very interesting. So, like I said, like a normal rating for us in this podcast. I feel like that this one actually did us some good. But now this is normally where I would tell Rob and thank him for coming by and stopping by the house and recording with me. But since he's not here, I just want to thank everybody here for stopping by and listening to the episode, and following us here on the Going With Rogue channel. And like I said, these podcasts are now available on YouTube Music. So follow us there as well so you guys don't miss any future episodes. We upload every Tuesday. Every Tuesday is another episode, bright and early at 8 o'clock in the morning here on the East Coast. Check out the other videos on the channel. We have gameplay videos of me normally just playing by myself. Sometimes I'm playing with friends. Me and Rob are trying to get a video together, what we're playing together. We have no idea what we're going to do. But until then, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a good one.